Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we're taking a look at Dragon Ball Super Dragon Star Series Wave 2, which is comprised of Super Saiyan Vegeta, Frieza Final Form, and then non-Super Saiyan Goku. So pretty much same packaging from the first wave, this mostly really dark, not quite black, but maybe charcoal gray coloring with the shiny embossed silver down here. I like that a lot. The character obviously shown through the window there. Not really much going on the top. And then on the side, they have a really nice picture. I like the artwork there. And then it shows the three in the wave. Wave 1 was Super Saiyan Goku, Beerus, and Vegeta. And now we're down here for Wave 2. And then when you put them all together, you'll get Shenron, which we'll take a look at too, because should now have all the pieces once we open these up. Moving on to Frieza Final Form. I think it's kind of funny. This is Dragon Ball Super. And we know for a fact that this is not Frieza's final form because he has the gold form after this. I mean, yes, aesthetically it looks the same, but it's, you know, kind of a paint job difference. If this was a Dragon Ball Z toy line, I could see this being Frieza's final form, but we know he has another one. There's the artwork on the side. And then we have regular non-Super Saiyan Goku. Comes with two pieces of Shenron's tail. There you go. And then the back of the packaging is pretty much the same for everybody. So I think it's cool because especially like if you have a case assortment, you know, you're going to put them all together like that and see the artwork on the side. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I like this packaging. I think it looks pretty good, but let's go ahead, get these guys out of the packaging and take a closer look. So here are the three figures out of the packaging. And I have to say, I think they all look pretty good. First up, we have Vegeta. He's got his Super Saiyan hair, which I think is painted very nicely. The green eyes look really good. And you can see, it's kind of hard to see it on camera. But you can see he's got kind of like embellishments in his paint. Like you can see here, like the black kind of painted. And I know it's not really showing up all that well, but you can see there's a little bit of like a darker paint there and then there on the side. And it's just like to give it effects, like, you know, while he's powering up, it's like a shade. I don't know, I'm not describing it well, but it's basically just paint effects to add depth to the figure. And I think that's really nice. And when you think about the fact that like these also come from Bandai America, and they're very similar to the Power Ranger Legacy figures because the molds are very similar. But whatever reason, these figures are getting a lot more love. I don't know why, but the paint is a lot sharper on all these. Like I said, this effect that they have going on, I'm going to move these two off to the side just for a moment so they're not in the background distracting, but he looks good. I like it a lot. I really do. I was kind of bummed at first that like they did separate Super Saiyan and regular versions of the figures. But here's regular Vegeta just to bring in for a comparison. And you can see that regular Vegeta's, the blue of his Saiyan armor is darker. And I believe they did that because they're assuming the light that would emit from being a Super Saiyan makes everything look lighter. And that's why they kind of gave him a lighter blue, but then also kind of painted that black like just a little bit throughout to give it depth. And it's really kind of neat. I think it's a nice detail and it really kind of works. I appreciate actually having two different figures. I mean, I still would have been okay if they wanted to just do like this figure with a swappable head or something like that. You know, I could have been happy with that. But I feel like if they're going to make it two figures, at least they didn't just give us the exact same body with a new head. They actually did change the color of the plastic and then paint it so that it does look different. And like I said, it's not showing up the best on camera, the way the blue is lighter with the black flourishments, but it is there. I'm going to move this guy back off to the side. He's got all the same joints that the other figures have. Head is on a ball joint. They have the normal up and down, although it only goes to about there, and also around for the shoulder. Bicep swivel, two joints in the elbow, and then you have the standard kind of figure art wrist, where it has that swivel as well as rotate, and then the actual fist is attached to a little ball joint. Then you have a swivel and kind of a little bit of a ball joint all around in the waist area. And then you have these legs that they can kind of pull down so that you can kind of get the kick out. But then if you want, you can kind of push it back into the torso. Like I know it looks a little weird. Like you can get it all the way down like that so that you can do these high kicks. And then if you don't leave it like that, you can push it back up if you just want them to kind of stand. So I like it. I think the joints work well. Also have 2 joints in the knee. So you can get that going. There we go. And then you have a ball joint in the ankle. Now I thought these had boot cuff swivels, but they don't. They don't have glove swivels either, but I really don't think it's hurting it. I think they give you a nice amount of articulation here. And I think the figure looks good. Also, real quick, I'm going to bring in Super Saiyan Goku just so you can see the 2 Super Saiyans together. I think the hair, the way they decided to paint this hair, I think it really works. I remember the old Japanese figures where it was either like super bright yellow or super like dark gold. And I thought both of those looked a little weird, but I think these work well. And I love the eyebrows. I love the green eyes. I think they did a great job with those. So I really like the job they did with the Super Saiyan hair on these figures. I don't really have anything to complain about. I think Vegeta looks great. Yeah, I just think overall this is a really nice figure. Moving on next to Goku. It's always hard to get Goku's hair in 3 dimensions because it's just drawn so ridiculously strange. But I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, from the front, obviously it looks great. You know, from the side, he's got that little bit. I don't know if he normally has that bit of hair spiking out on the back, but either way, I think from the front and the back, it definitely looks good, and from the sides, I'm happy with it as well. Unfortunately, my ball joint is a little loose. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's just a little loose on mine, but obviously there is a ball joint there. What I'm a little worried about, I think it is actually moving on the ball joint. I'm afraid it's going to break, but no, I think it's fine. It's just loose. But he's got the same shoulder joints as the other figures, same bicep. Pretty much all the joints are the same. Has the waist there. He's got that same leg that you can pull out for the kicks. And then because he's got the baggy pants, his joint is kind of built into those baggy pants. But it works. I really think it works. And I love the attention to detail on his boots. I think they look great. You have the little bit of rope there. Textured, looks pretty good. I think the paint on the boots looks sharp. Obviously, you got a ball joint there in the ankle. So, again, I'm really happy with this figure. Bringing in Super Saiyan Goku. Again, you can see his gi is lighter, a lighter orange. Again, because they assumed the light coming off of a Super Saiyan would make everything seem brighter. I think that's a neat effect. You have the darker, more traditional orange with the normal non-Super Saiyan Goku. So, again, if you're going to give us 2 separate figures, at least they're different enough that it warrants having 2. It's not just the same body with another head. Because that would be a really easy way to make these figures. That would be a really easy cost-cutting maneuver. And I'm proud of them that they didn't do that. So, I think both of these look really good. Again, I don't really have any complaints with Goku, except that the head on mine is a little loose. But again, I think that's a one-off. I don't think it's going to be like that with every figure. I did forget to mention, and I should... Where did I put them? Vegeta came with 2 extra hands that you can swap off pretty easily. And Goku came with extra hands as well. So they're very easy to pop the ball joint and then pop on the new hand. That is one nice thing about these figures. It's pretty easy to switch out the hands. Do I have that on all the way? And now it's, of course, because I said it's easy. There you go. It's much. There we go. So I'm not the best at posing figures, but get this stuff out of the way. So that's cool. I think it's neat. I always appreciate when they come with, especially for Dragon Ball Z characters. I think it makes sense because they do so many different kind of hand poses with all their different like energy attacks and things like that. So I think it definitely makes sense for these figures to have extra hands. And yeah, I really like this Goku figure. I think they did a nice job. So in my opinion, I saved the best for last. I think this Frieza figure looks amazing. This is another example of how they kind of added that just a little bit of color throughout the figure to give it depth. They didn't just paint the whole thing white. They kind of added back in that little bit of a darker shade to really accentuate the molding in the figure and really give it a sense of depth. And I think he looks phenomenal. All the purple's kind of a nice metallic purple, as you can see. That head sculpt looks great. The face looks fantastic. The neck can actually move down here at the base, but it also can move. The head is also swivelable. I think it's actually on a ball joint. The arms can come down a little bit, so you can go all the way out to the side, but then you can kind of push them back towards the body. Has the swivel in the bicep. Of course, has the double joint in the elbow, and then the standard, figure arts type wrist joint there. Then he has a swivel in the waist. Same kind of legs that can kind of come out, but also get pushed back in. Same knee joints. And then because his feet are essentially like hands for him, he does have the same kind of, it's a little bit larger of the joint, but it's very similar to the wrist joint. So it has that. It can also rotate, plus the foot itself is on a ball joint. So I think that's great. On the back, you have the same joint in the tail. It's a bigger version of the joint again. Can swivel all around, up and down. And then you also have another swivel about halfway through the tail. Now, the tail looks great, in my opinion. It does make him, I kind of wish it was a little bit closer to the body. That joint's a little bit too noticeable for me, but I can forgive it. But it does make him really back heavy, and there's not a great way to combat this, unfortunately. The only thing you can really do is kind of position the tail so that it can like help him stand. I kind of put it all the way back and then just kind of lean him on it. It's the only problem with the figure. It's a really beautiful looking figure, and if you have some kind of stand, he doesn't have any holes in his feet, unfortunately, but if you have something to prop him against or a way of keeping him up, he looks amazing. It's just that that tail is really heavy, but it does look nice. I do really like it. He also comes with extra hands, and they actually include a third one for his very famous index finger, so he can do that giant energy ball attack. I love that. I love that they included that. It's an excellent feature. So I don't know. All three of these figures are really good, but I think Frieza wins for me. They just did a fantastic job. I mean, articulation-wise, sculpt-wise, paint-wise, everything about this figure is phenomenal. And like I said, it's a little frustrating when you see these kind of figures coming from the same company that does the Power Ranger Legacy figures, and this is not lacking for detail, molding, or paint. It's not lacking for anything. And it's the same price point. It's the exact same price point. It's got extra hands, it's got Build-A-Figure Shenron pieces, and it's got more detail, paint, and molding, and everything, and it's the same price point. I don't get it, but I'm glad they exist because they're really beautiful. I just wish there was some way to get him to stand with that tail, but that's the only little drawback. Otherwise, a fantastic figure. So it's kind of funny, 7 Dragon Balls, 7 pieces of Shenron. So far I have 1, 2, and 3 all connected together from the first wave. Next up we have, this is piece 4, and then I'm going to connect it to piece 5. And it's kind of nice, you can see how it has that weird shape, so you kind of can't connect the wrong ones together. I appreciate that. So go ahead and mash these together. It's a little hard to push them together because they are very snug, but I mean, you'd want them to be snug. That makes sense. Just have to really get it in there. And then coming around to here, this next piece, it's got kind of a weird shape, kind of like a barn or something. So you go ahead and pop that on. That one went on a little bit easier. And then this last piece will go on like this. Alright, so this is all of Shenron from the second wave, all put together. So we'll combine that with this piece. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. Match the underbelly. See if I can get this to, there we go. So there you go. You have your fully completed Shenron. Really cool. I think they did a great job with this. He's definitely curving all around in on himself, but it's a good mold. It looks pretty good. Now, Lord Beerus did come with a stand, so I'll try to bring that over and then figure out how this all goes together. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe this and then this sits on the chin. There you go. So this little piece kind of fits in this little curly Q right there, and then this piece goes up top of here. So here's your completed Shenron. You clip the end of the head onto this piece. It actually pegs into the bottom of his jaw. So there's your completed Shenron with stand. I think they did a pretty nice job with this. The only thing I would wish for is a small little set of Dragon Balls just to put down here at the tail so it kind of looks like he's erupting out of them. But I can live without it. I think they did a nice job with this. It's a fun little Build-A-Figure. I think it was a smart thing to do. And this way they could afford to do it and not lose the paint apps, I think, because it's not a full figure. So you don't have to worry about all the articulation points and everything. But it's still a fun little Build-A-Figure prize to include and give you the incentive to collect both waves. I think it looks good. I really do. I don't love the fact that the bar is coming right out of his mouth. I feel like these two aren't as noticeable, but this one kind of is. But I understand that for support purposes, it had to be done. But overall, I think it's a lot of fun. I like it. So I have to say, I've kind of been really blown away by these figures. I think the second wave is even better than the first. Not that there's anything wrong with the first. I'm just really in love with this Frieza figure. I think it looks really, really nice. When I first saw that we were getting 6 figures, 3 per wave, and that 4 of them were just going to be 2 versions of Goku and 2 versions of Vegeta, you know, regular and Super Saiyan of each, I felt a little cheated just because I love seeing more unique characters and not just 2 villains and then the rest are kind of not the same figure. But I was afraid they were going to be almost identical except for different heads, but they're really not. They did a decent job of, yes, they're probably the same mold, but they're different coloring, they're painted differently, those different heads really are nice. They did a great job with the gold hair on the Super Saiyans. I think that really looks nice. Those green eyes with the gold eyebrows look really sharp. I don't know. I don't really have anything to complain about. I think they're really fun figures. If you can find them, I recommend picking them up. The little Build-A-Figure stuff for the Shenron, I think, is a nice touch. You know, it's just a little something extra, and it's really nice when you're all said and done. I think they did a great job with that. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly little things you can nitpick, like, you know, Frieza's tail makes him kind of back heavy, so you kind of have to prop him up against something. You know, the head on my Goku's a little loose, but again, I'm sure that's a one-off. I don't know. They're great. They're really nicely painted, nicely sculpted, detailed. They come with little Build-A-Fig stuff. They come with extra hands, so you can do different poses. There's not much to complain about. If you are a fan of Dragon Ball, I think these are probably the best non-figure-art Dragon Ball figures you're going to get. These are probably the most reasonable. I don't want to say most reasonable because figure arts are expensive for a reason, but if you're looking for a budget figure, this is the best you're going to get. I think at $20 a piece for what you get, these are totally worth it. If you find them on sale, so much the better because they are just normal retail releases. I found these at Toys R Us. They've been shown up at GameStops. I thought they would hit Target, but I haven't really seen them there yet. But you could definitely find them at Toys R Us. $19.99, get a sale, have a coupon, whatever. These are great. I think there is a third wave coming. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but I think it's going to be Trunks and maybe a Gohan. I might have made that up, but I thought I saw pictures from one of the Comic-Cons or something, maybe New York Comic-Con, where they said they were coming. So I'll definitely be getting more of these. I'm really impressed with these. The last time I bought Dragon Ball figures was the old, I think they were Irwin toys from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like we first got those initial Japanese figures imported and they were very basic. And then we kind of got the Irwin ones in the late 90s and 2000s and they were better. They were pretty decent figures, but these even knock those out of the park. Now, of course, they are about twice as much as those were, but they're worth it. I really do think they are. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at the second wave of Dragon Ball Super Dragon Star series figures, Super Saiyan Vegeta, Frieza Final Form, although not really, and Goku. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.